Genie, the possessor of cosmic power. He is larger than life, the spirit of the lamp that was locked in the Cave of Wonders for 10,000 years until awoken from the street rat, Aladdin. What is going on, Cozy Club, and welcome back, my friends. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful holiday. We are coming at you today with another in-depth guide masterclass edition for one of my favorite characters inside DSA, and by far one of my favorites outside of the game, none other than
Genie of the Lamp.
Today, my friends, we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about the Genie of the Lamp and why I think he's one of the most important characters right now to farm within the game. At tier 9, he's absolutely godlike. He's great in every single game mode, and we're going to teach you guys his abilities much more than just the game shows in the description. We're going to be teaching you guys the best teammates to pair him up with. And really, if you're a fan of the blue guy, we're going to have you set by the end of this video. Now, as for myself, Cozy Club, I've been using Genie a ton within my live streams. If you want to see some PvP domination and you haven't stopped by, you can check me down in the description below. And before we start today's video, we've got the question of the day. On topic of Genie, if you could have one wish from the big blue guy himself, the Genie of the Lamp, what is one thing that you would wish that could come to DSA within 2022? Now, you can say a character, but I want you guys to think outside the box. What feature, game mode? I want to see it commented down below, and I'll look for my favorites. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, my friends, the all-powerful Genie is bound by 3 different laws. He cannot kill anyone. He cannot make any people fall in love with him. I mean, depending on the way you interpret that, he missed the mark pretty largely. I don't know about you, but I love the guy. And he cannot revive anyone from the dead. Clearly, Genie is just no good at following his own rules. He kills plenty of people. He has people fall in love or, flips charms on the enemy. And then obviously he saves people from dying. We have a whole lot to cover today. We're going to go ahead and start out with the highlights of Genie, followed by his abilities. Now, Genie is a support character that serves as a hybrid offensive powerhouse who calls plenty of attention and distraction while also providing cleansing, saving of death, and clutch raid mechanics. He is great no matter what point in time you are playing the game. At gear 3 all the way up to gear 9, he is a very solid unit. So yes, this masterclass is not just for the maxed out Genies. He's going to work just about the same no matter where you have him, as long as the opponent you're facing is of relative level. Now, starting off with Genie's stats, my friends, as an offense character, his offense is naturally lower than most, but he naturally averages very high stats in all of the important categories. Obviously, looking at his potency landing around 38% will be nice for the debuffs he has, and his tenacity is at 27%, which isn't too bad. You want it relatively low because of duplicate and the way he duplicates himself. You want those harmful effects, but at the same time, he can resist the oncoming of, harmful effect meta that we're in currently. So it's a good middle ground. Now, if you plan on using Genie, his abilities are very important and his stats don't matter as much because of the ways his abilities work. He has plenty of speed to keep up with the rest of the kingdom characters. Let's go ahead and break down these abilities so you can best understand how to make the most use from Genie himself. Now, starting out with his basic cosmic power, we see him shooting magic fireworks out of his fingertips within the movie. This is going to be Genie's bread and butter. It's unique to him, but every time Genie hits an opponent with this attack, it will be increasing by a whopping 50% more damage from each of the previous hits itself. That includes both his clones, his shadows. Any way you can get Genie to do a turn with his basic, it's going to stack more and more damage. Now, in addition to this, we'll get to this later in the video, but tactics is awesome for Genie, and one of the main reasons is he's going to have a 45% chance to hit adjacent opponents with this basic. You want to keep this in mind when in PvP with, Ralphs that you don't want to trigger down or Ursula Eels that you don't want to remove from the battlefield. So you want to make sure that you are always aiming at the right sections with this basic attack. Within raids, it's not as important, but definitely within PvP, you want to make sure you are targeting the right character. Now again, Cozy Club, Genie is great at any gear level, but once you get to that gear 7, 8, and 9, that's when you really start to see a difference. I mean, at gear 9, I've got the Delta in him. I mean, he is fully pumped up. He is a maximum Genie of the lamp. He is easily capable of one-shotting gear 9 Hercules, gear 9 Beast, gear 9 Maleficents. You name it, Genie can do it by himself as long as he has maybe a shadow or a duplicate with him. And within the raids, he has the possibility to nuke out some extremely high damage. And that's what we are mainly talking about with like an offense hybrid. Let's go ahead and get to his other abilities that are more support abilities or raid specific. Next up within the movie, we have seen Hat Trick, him pulling out the rabbit from the hat. Genie has the original harmful effect flip before it was even written within the game. Not only does he flip 2 harmful effects, which if you watch my tier list video, you guys know it's vital to have flipping over cleansing when facing Maleficent, and a little bit of a spoiler, Genie is a great Maleficent counter. So as I was saying, not only does he flip 2 harmful effects from your ally to the enemy, but he's also going to change those to the corresponding helpful effects within your ally. And then on top of that, he has the chance to send those harmful effects over to one enemy with a possible 2. And yes, that means 2 stuns, 2 charms, 2 polymorphs, 2 enthralls from Maleficent. Really, this is where he really shines, and it's incredible to flip those debuffs over to the enemy side. A little bit of RNG there, but if you get the right flip, it's completely devastating to the enemy. And by now, you're probably starting to see why Tactics is going to be great to pair with Genie, as both the basic and Hat Trick have percent chances to make them even stronger abilities within his kit. Next up, we have the Real Firecracker. Now, this is my least used ability on Genie, although it is pretty dang solid for raids. It's going to deal a nice bit of damage alongside offense down and silence, and trust me, it's great to have a silence on deck if you need to shut down a character that is coming up. But 90% of the time, you're going to want to spam that basic attack, stacking that damage over and over. Or within the raids, you can go ahead and shut down a Twister or an Ice Spike with a clutch silence on a low 3-turn cooldown. All right, so those are the core abilities. Looking at the other 2 passives that he has, Friend Like Me used to be good, and now it is amazing within the meta that we are currently in. You guys have seen it before, but Genie can save others from certain death.
He could save others from death, but not himself.
This ability is going to have a massive payoff, saving your Tiana to get that cleanse off for your entire team, saving your Ralph so that he gets those guarantee free extra turns, or maybe Frozone so that he can land the stasis and you can set off an AoE bomb. Now, in addition to that, he can save those important characters, but on top of that, he just calls so much attention to himself because both his basic and then obviously this passive warrants you to go ahead and take him down first. You can go ahead and survive so many different battle scenarios because of this invincibility. Now, it is important to note this is only going to last for 1 turn. It's not going to stay on until the next character's turn. So like 2 attacks in a row usually get rid of it. There are some wonky mechanics here, and every now and then it kind of sticks a little longer than it should. But most of the time, it saves that character 1 time like a free wish from death. Now, lastly, we have his last passive.
Genie.
Genie is going to go ahead and create a duplicate version of himself. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually copying all of the same stats that your Genie has outside of his health pool. And this is exactly why Genie is scaling up so well up to gear 9, because you're getting more offense that's stacking with that basic, more speed, more defense. He's copying all of that, and you're going to be able to hit double the damage very early on. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, this is why I love him as a Maleficent counter, because with that Maleficent lead that everybody's running these days, you're going to start that battle off with harmful immunity, 2 Genies out the bat. With Genie's high speed, you can pretty much pick a character to nuke down turn uno. Now, looking at stones for Genie, I recommend an offense stone, although you can easily make a case for its speed stone as well. He's one of those characters that you don't have to sacrifice that speed stone if you don't have enough, as offense stacks nicely with the basic attack for raids, and Speed, it adds that extra zest, although it calls, Ursula to usually take that speed from him. That's why typically I do recommend offense, but I run both and they both run to its own success. Now, I know you guys saw my recent ability priority guide for Genie, but you can go ahead and see that these are the abilities that I recommend taking up, with his basic being the first priority, followed by either hat trick or duplicate, depending on what you want. Duplicate for the lower cooldown, hat trick for the additional harmful effect, and then you want to go ahead and increase that rocket silence viability if you plan on using him against the Titans. All right, so we went through the main core of Genie. Let's go ahead and talk about the teams that he fits best in, and then also his teammates. Now, we've been hinted at that maybe the Aladdin crew is going to go ahead and get a large buff when club expeditions hit, which would just be bonkers for Genie. Like, I'll be honest, even if they don't touch him that much, if Aladdin or Jasmine can call Genie to assist with that basic, he's still getting a large buff. And so that's my hope for him. And then also that's a primary reason why it doesn't hurt to upgrade him now, as you will be using him within the expeditions. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at his teams that he fits with, and then specific teammates. Genie is the ultimate plug and play in my opinion. You can put him with a Kingdom team, Downtown Heroes. You can put him with Oceanics for that extra shield and viability. You can plug him with just about any faction and he will serve the same purpose. Although his synergy and his overall viability is more important on teammates rather than the entire team itself. Now, going from the top to the bottom, here are the best teammates to plug with Genie. Mike Wazowski might be at the top of the list, tied with one other character. Mike can go ahead and give him tactics like we talked about before. That helps out Genie massively within the raids and PvP. He can also, because being a support character, give Genie 2 evasions, keeping him alive that much longer. In addition to that, Mike does everything you'll need and want for an ally for Genie, although there is one other teammate that's equally as great. You'll be losing the tactics, but obviously, guys, Belle is phenomenal with Genie. You're going to want to pair them with a Shan Yu lead for the extra speed, but even without that, Belle is going to be able to call Genie to assist over and over, stacking up that basic damage. You can feed your Kingdom teammates extra turn meter and then cleanse if needed. I love Belle with Genie. I typically use either Belle or Mike Wazowski in most of my Genie teams. Now, other great support characters, if you've noticed they are all supports, is going to be Mickey Mouse with his All Together, calling all of the Genies to attack, Barley with that Quest of Yore and his basic, Anna with her basic and Some Things Never Changing, pumping up that duplication, and then lastly, and very important, is going to be Wendy Darling. Now, Wendy doesn't work all too well in PvP. However, when you stack these shadows with Genie, and you put Why You're Very Welcome for the attack up, it just makes Genie a complete powerhouse and definitely by far one of the best decisions within the raids. Lastly, if we're looking at spells, you can't really go wrong with a ton. I like Sugar Rush to call Genie to attack often. Golden Hammer is nice because they go after Genie pretty early, so that can save him from that certain death as well. And then obviously Peter Pan Shadow to make duplications of the duplications to go ahead and pour on the damage. So, my friends, that is going to be just about everything you need to know about Genie and why he works so well. You put him under with like a Shan Yu lead and get that attack up on him, and he can truly take down just about any character within the game. You guys let me know down in the comments below and like the video if you like these master class in-depth guides and what characters you want to see next for the independent in-depth guides. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic rest of your week. If you haven't already, guys, take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all of our channels, and until next time, stay cozy.